Hello, this is Leona Graham. Welcome to the Rock and Road podcast. This is episode 8 of the 4th series. Please subscribe to the series and then you'll know as soon as a new episode is available. Now, this week I speak to the one and only Slash. We talk about his new album, which has just come out with Myles Kennedy. And we talk about what it's like when he hears Sweet Child of Mine on the radio, amongst other things. I also try out a SUZUKI GSX-S1000. I speak to Emma Franklin, who's at the MCN London Motorcycle Show, and we hear from my sons and see what they thought of the show as well. This is the Rock and Road podcast. So let's get things underway. Here is my chat with Slash. Hello.
Hey, Leona.
Hey, Slash, how are you?
I'm good. You have an amazing voice.
Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
We're very excited about the return of Slash featuring Myles Kennedy and the Conspirators. Your new album is called 4. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it's it's 10 songs of. I mean, it's a pretty hard rock record, you know. And I mean, I think it's pretty good. We recorded it live, the most live recording of a record I've done to date. And yeah, there you have it.
So you recorded it live. So you were literally all in the studio just playing the music and hit record.
Exactly.
So what happens if you were like, oh, I'm not sure about that bit. Can we redo it? Or did it just flow perfectly?
Well, I mean, you know, that's the trick, isn't it? You know, see, you just have to be able to play from one end of the song to the other, which, you know, all things considered, we should be able to do. We're professionals, right? Yeah, so I mean, there are some blemishes in the recordings, you know, in the playing here and there, there's little moments, but it's part of the charm of it, and we just left it as is.
I love that. I think it's really important that you did that. And how many takes did you do of each song?
I think that we probably did anywhere I can't remember which one it was, but there was definitely a song that we did one take and it was great. But on the average, it was 2 to maybe 3 takes of each song.
Still pretty amazing. Then you had you listened back and just chose the best one.
Yeah. I mean, you can usually feel the best take. You know what I mean? Like you know, at the end of it, you'll go, okay, that one was the one. That one feel. And if everybody agrees, then you move on.
Was there an occasion where one of you was like, no, we want take 1 and you want take 3, or did you all agree?
No, we didn't have any of those kind of arguments. It's a very easygoing band, I have to say. So it was you know, everybody was you know, it was a very mutual thing. If it was a good take, everybody seemed to agree.
It does seem like a really good vibe in the band, because I was at the question and answer session the other day with you and Myles Kennedy, and the sort of vibe between you two is great. You all get on really well.
Yeah, the whole band always has, which is really a testament to why we've been together for so long. On a creative level, we get along really well, and on a personal level, you know, I mean, we travel on one bus together and do a hell of a lot of touring, and we just seem to all be really, I know it sounds funny, but really considerate of one another, and we just sort of coexist in a kind of a blissful harmony.
No, it's just brilliant to hear. And then going back to the beginning of the songs, how do you come up with the songs as a band?
Well, I mean, it starts off with I bring a musical idea and you know, to them, and usually what happens is I'll have an idea. We do a lot of writing on the road, so I'll bring a riff to sound check, and we'll jam it at sound check, and if those guys just come up with whatever they want to whatever it is that I came up with, and then we just like we'll play it for half an hour, 45 minutes at sound check, and then we'll go on to the next gig, and we'll develop over the next 5 sound checks one song, right? And a lot of the material on this record was written that way. Nothing's ever finished on the road, but it's a good way to get to figure out what's a good idea and what we're going to develop. And so a lot of the songs on this record were written that way. And then some of the songs were written during the pandemic. And in those ones, I made demos because we really couldn't get into a room and jam at that point because of the whole sort of lockdown thing. Mm-hmm. So I made demos and I sent those to Myles, and he would come up with some lyrics and whatnot, lyrics and melodies. And then that was sort of the nucleus of those songs. And then when COVID permitted, we all got together and did a couple weeks of pre-production and sort of worked the arrangements up a little bit. But I have to say, going into this record, we went in more loose than we have on any of the other records we've done.
What do you mean more loose?
Like we unfinished, the material was unfinished.
Right. Yeah.
Usually we finish the material, rehearse the shit out of it, then go in the studio and bang it out really quickly. But this one, we went in, we only rehearsed for a couple weeks and went in and we finished the arrangements the day of recording it.
So with the album, we know how it sort of came about over the last 2 years or so with COVID and everything. And the album's got some big riffs, big melodies, big choruses. Do you think that was a result of lockdown frustration?
Some of it, yeah. I mean, some of the songs were definitely born out of COVID frustration. Rivers Rising was definitely the product of the frustration of not only the pandemic, but the politics that were going on. It was just, I think it was our answer to 2020 in general. And then, you know, like there's a song called Fill My World, which was sort of to counteract the depression of the whole thing, what everybody was going through, not just the band, but our you know, our friends and families that were out of work and people were passing away and this and that. So Fill My World was definitely sort of like an answer to that feeling. And then a couple of the other songs were just built out of just frustration and of the pent up frustration from being stationary for so long.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the current single is called Call Off the Dogs. That's a really lively track, isn't it?
yeah, and that was definitely one of the, that was one of the last songs that was written, and it was right before we went into pre-production. So it was really chomping at the bit to get out of the house and get into the studio and actually do some work. So it was very, very spontaneous. It was written, I would say, all in all, it probably took about 5 to 10 minutes to put it together. And it was just the first thing that we banged out when we went into pre-production.
Amazing. Some of the best songs ever made were the ones that were just knocked up really quickly, aren't they?
Yeah. It's great when it happens, man. It's a lot of fun. It's a great feeling when you have something that just, you know, like pours out of you really quickly, you know?
Yeah. Now, the new album is called Four. Did you call it that to let us know that it's the fourth one?
Well, I mean, initially, the idea behind the title was to avoid coming up with anything that referred to 2020, because there's nothing you could say that really would encapsulate everything that went on. I mean, there's no one quick quip that you could say that really summed it up, and I didn't even want to try. So I thought, well, you know, another way to do it is just call it Four. It is a reasonable milestone for the band to have arrived at a fourth album. And then, yeah, it would remind people that we had 3 other records, yeah.
Which is brilliant, because you could easily forget that you've actually brought out that many. That is quite a lot, isn't it?
Well, it was a surprise to me to realize that we've been doing this. Our first record came out 10 years ago. I had no idea that much time had gone by.
Yeah, same. So it does its job, the title, because it made me stop and think as well.
Yeah, good.
So what's it like being on the new Gibson label? I mean, I would have thought that's tailor-made for you, you know, you already being a fan of Gibson guitars.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have, it's not only that I'm a fan of Gibson guitars, I have a long-standing relationship with Gibson. And since new management's come in, the company has just become amazing, because it was sort of teetering there for a minute. But anyway, so new management came in, resurrected the company, got it back up to snuff. And I've been really tight with them during this sort of renaissance period. And then when they came to me about releasing this album on their label, I didn't know that they were thinking about a label. I had no idea. So it was a shock. And it's, you know, it was like, oh. And I thought, well, you know, like, what's the catch? Because it's almost too perfect to be true. And it really turned out that there was no catch at all. And it's like, we're partners on the record. So it's not like I just signed on. We're actually invested in this together. So it was just a perfect sort of match. And it's been going really well. So I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And there's some Les Paul limited editions as well. And I met you a few years ago, actually, and I've got one of your guitars tattooed on me, and you signed it. And then I went and had that tattooed on as well.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's all going together beautifully. I'm just so happy you're with the Gibson label. But just a couple of questions for my listeners. One here from Johanna. What albums were your favorite of 2021, or what have you been listening to recently?
Oh, my favorite albums of 20. I've been listening to stuff that's it's really old. I've been listening to a lot of rock and roll from the 50s,
Oh, okay.
50s and early 60s, and then a lot of, because I was in Nashville recording this record, I got turned on to a lot of old country music. So I've been
Yeah.
listening to a lot of those guitar players specifically. It wasn't a lot of old country music I loved anyway, but I've been listening to a lot of pedal steel guitar players and stuff. And then, odds and ends, rock and roll records, but they're all nothing I can think of from 2021.
That's quite all right.
The new Gojira record, which isn't 2021, it was 2020, but that was something that I was listening to a lot recently.
Yeah, those 2 years kind of merged together anyway, so that's fine. Mark McCormick asked, do you remember living in Stoke when you were younger?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I mean, I have really indelible and fond memories of Stoke, and I actually miss it because it was such a great little town to grow up in. I do miss it, but I still have family there, so I stay in touch.
Now, the album comes out on 11th of February here in the UK. Is there going to be a tour?
Yeah, well, because of the whole sort of pandemic event, it sort of threw all the schedules topsy-turvy, right? So we are planning on coming to the UK for this record in the beginning of 2023, because from this summer all the way through the end of the year, I'll be touring with Guns N' Roses in Europe and then also in other territories, all makeup tours for 2020. So yeah, we definitely will be there, but unfortunately it won't be until the end of next year, beginning of next year, sorry.
Okay. Do you like going on tour with the Conspirators? I mean, you've mentioned what a great band they are. How does it compare to other tours?
Well, I mean, I have a blast touring with I've had a blast touring with Guns N' Roses, and then obviously, the Conspirators have been together since 2010. Well, actually, since 2010 touring, and we just had a blast doing it. And it's one of the reasons why we're still here. So we love touring together. We have a kick-ass time doing it. It's a really good band, so it's a lot of fun.
Do you listen to your own albums at home or in the car, or where's the best place to listen to it?
Well, I mean, if I do listen to them, it's in the car. It's usually for a reason. When you finish a record, you are so close to the material, and you've mixed it, and you've just listened to everything over and over and over and over again. When the album's released, you never listen to it again unless you have to for some reason. So I never listen to our records except for, like, after all this time of not touring and whatnot, putting together a set list, I was really sort of forced to have to sit down and listen to them, and it was fun, But I did it in the car.
Yeah, because it's private and you've got a good sound in the car. And
yeah, exactly.
What happens though if you go somewhere and you hear one of your songs? How does that make you feel?
It's always exciting if you hear it on the radio. That's something that never grows old. If you're in a bar or some other sort of public place, and all of a sudden your material comes on, it sort of stops you dead in your tracks, because for a second you're like going, God, that sounds familiar. and then you realize it's you. So now that in those instances, it depends on what the song is and what band it is and all that kind of stuff. Because if I walk into a place and Sweet Child of Mine comes on, it's a cringe moment. You're like, it's very awkward. But then
is that because it's just been played so much, or
just one of those kind of things that you feel like a spotlight was just put on you, even if nobody in the room knows you're in there, you just feel sort of like very vulnerable for a second. But like it sort of depends. If you're in a cool club and you hear one of your songs and it's rocking, that's always cool.
Yes, I can imagine that must be pretty cool. All right, well, it was absolutely lovely to catch up with you. We can't wait for the album to come out, and we really, even more, can't wait to see you live in 2023. And good luck with the rest of this year.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and hopefully I'll get to see your tattoo.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Yeah, have a good one.
And
Cheers.
you, bye. I'm with my mate Gary.
Hello.
Hello. Let's just have a little look at this bike because, I mean, it's just so stunning to look at. The first thing I like is the blues because it's got blue wheels as well.
Yeah, it's quite striking on first appearance, isn't it?
It really is. Now, the super naked bikes, why would you have a super naked over one with all the fairings? Is it for wind?
Well, the fairings obviously protect you from wind and they put you in a more racy position. In my experience, the people who tend to go to the super nakeds are the people who are getting a little bit older or have got problems with their wrists and can't do the lay down riding style, so they go for something a little bit more upright, and this is that market really.
Oh, okay, so you get a bit more blown about on one of these, would you?
You'd certainly get a bit more blown about. I mean, you think about it, you're sat in the seat on that with your arms out wide and high, you're basically a parachute on the bike, so it'll slow you down a little bit as well.
So, but visually I like the super naked because you can see the engine and everything.
Yeah, it's a very appealing looking bike. The whole market is, I mean, the KTMs, the Hondas, everything. Everybody's got a super naked. They've become very, very popular over recent years, since probably around 2010, 2009, somewhere around that.
Oh, okay. This is an extremely powerful motor, 999cc, liquid-cooled inline 4. What does that even mean?
Well, 999cc, it's 1000cc,
Yeah.
so it's essentially the engine out of the GSX-R range of bikes, which are the fully faired sports bikes. It's an inline 4, it's got 4 cylinders, so each cylinder is 250ccs, and it'll be a nice, smooth, balanced engine.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting that feeling about it. It feels very smooth and it's meant to be very good at low RPM. And what was the other thing about that? So at low RPM, it's got assist anti-stall. So if you are sort of hovering around at the traffic lights, it's got something to assist you from stalling, which is good.
Okay, that's a new one on me. I've not seen that before, I've not experienced it before, but yeah, I'm guessing it's just something that will prevent the engine cutting out if you try and get going with too little revs or letting the clutch out too quickly maybe.
And the other thing that stands out about this is the quick shift. And as you know, I like DCT bikes, which is bikes without, you don't have to worry about the gears, it does it all for you. This one is half like that. You still have to do the gears with your feet, but you don't have to use the clutch.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. I mean, the quick shifter is linked up to the fuel injection system, so as soon as you feel pressure on, or the bike feels pressure on the gear lever, it will just cut the spark for a nanosecond, millisecond, just enough time for the next gear to engage, and then the engine will fire back up and you'll just carry on in the next gear. So no need to use the clutch, as you say, and also no need to shut the throttle, so it makes gear shifts that much quicker.
I think we need to have a go on it.
Absolutely.
I'm just riding away on this Suzuki, and the riding position is really good for me. As Gary was mentioning earlier, a lot of the racing bikes I find hard to lean down on, and this one's a little bit more upright than the other kind of racing bikes, so I find this more comfortable. The seat is very, very comfortable, and I'm nicely nestled in with lots of room for my knees around the tank, which are kind of sculpted in so that my knees can sit comfortably. And this has loads and loads of power at low gears, and you can really feel that. I'm going to change gear now without using the clutch, so here we go. Oh, that's fantastic. You feel the need to use the clutch, but it doesn't take long to get used to not using one. Oh, sugar. Okay. Start it up again. This is the most comfortable fast bike I think I've ever ridden. For me, comfort is really important, and if you want speed mixed in, this is the one. I love this. See what it's like at cornering. Oh, wow! Oh my goodness! Oh. I've just gone through the gears quite quickly and flicked the gears up using my foot, no clutch, and you don't have to let go of the throttle. I keep stalling it when I'm coming to a junction though. And it goes incredibly fast when you're doing that. I'm absolutely loving the quick shifter. Okay, I'm just going to turn it back up now with my feet, and I'm 5'7". My feet are firmly comfortable on the ground, so it's got a nice riding position. You're not too tall. Just going to turn it around now. Okay. The screen on the dashboard's got loads and loads of information, most I've seen on a screen this size. Quite like it.
Never guessed.
Oh, the quick shift's great.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Just don't need the clutch, just go pop, pop, pop.
Yeah, this is the way forward for me if I was going to have a bike like this.
Yeah. I'm very comfortable on it.
I feel comfortable on it. It's the most comfortable. I was just saying, the most comfortable fast bike I've had. Okay, your turn.
Okay, I'll take it out.
Gary's just got back from his ride. What did you think, Gary?
I think that is a potential hooligan bike. It's great. I love it. I love the way it makes its power. It's got a fly-by-wire throttle on it, which means there's no direct connection between the throttle and the fuel injection system, but you don't feel disconnected. There's feedback there, which is lovely. Yeah, the front wheel wants to lift on good acceleration. What I'm most impressed about, once you get into higher speeds, it doesn't feel like the front wheel's becoming disconnected from the road. It's not becoming light, it's not becoming a little bit jittery. It really feels solid and planted. Yeah, the quick shifter works really, really well. It prefers to be at higher revs, but it works really well. I love the gadget on the dashboard that tells you the range of the bike and the miles per gallon, and I just found it very amusing to try and get that as low as possible. So, but no, all round a lovely little ride. I mean, you get your feet up, you get the balls of your feet on the footrests, you hold on to the bars, and you get in a nice little. Yeah, you're solid in the seat. You feel part of the bike. It just works really, really well.
Yeah, I must admit I really enjoyed it as well, and I can't find anything to fault it with, really. I could definitely wouldn't mind one of these in my collection.
Yeah, I'd have one in the collection. I mean, I'm in my head, obviously, I'm comparing it to the CB1000R because I've ridden quite a few of those. This feels maybe a little bit less aggressive, which is unusual for Suzuki because they're normally at that more aggressive end of the range. The gearbox is definitely a lot smoother than the Honda. The way it sneaks through the gears, I mean, Suzuki are renowned for having smooth gearboxes, so that's not really a surprise, but it was just really sweet. I think their anti-stall mechanism is probably a little bit to do with the fly-by-wire throttle, because when you're pulling away, obviously you haven't got the resistance of cables, so it's a little bit kind of harder to judge. But you soon get used to it. I think there was a couple of times where I might have felt it kick in just a little bit, but no, it's not an intrusive system at all. It works really nicely. The only thing I want to take the ABS off so that I can do endos.
Trust you to want to modify it. All right then, thank you, Gary.
No problem.
We were riding the Suzuki GSX-S1000, prices at around £11,000. It's called a supernaked bike. One of the things I forgot to mention in there was the stacked LED lights at the front. Rather than one big round light, there's almost like a triple stack of them. Have a look at the photographs on the Rock and Road Pod Instagram. It's got a 19-litre fuel tank, does about 150 miles, masses of power at low speed. And we also heard there from the parrots that live in the tree outside my driveway, and one of my dogs, Skylar. But I hope you enjoyed that. Please do look at the photographs, and thank you for listening to my review.
The MCN Minute on the Rock and Road Podcast.
So, currently at the MCN London Motorcycle Show is our Emma. Hi Emma, how are you?
I'm really well, Leona. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. So I was there yesterday, you're there today, and we didn't actually manage to meet after all this time, but how's it all going? Tell us about it.
Oh, it's really well. So yeah, I've been here for about 2 hours now, and it's just like heaving full of happy motorcyclists. I've just walked around the Rossi exhibition, and I was like blown away. I loved seeing the 125 and the 250 because they're sort of like my iconic Rossi bikes anyway. So seeing them was a real treat. And I've got my lad Angus here, and he's trying out all the Yamahas. He's been on the MC03 is his personal favourite, I think, at the moment. So,
How old is Angus?
Yeah. So Angus is 4, yeah.
And
so
I presume named after the legendary AC/DC rocker?
He is, yeah. He's named after Angus Young, so yeah.
Fantastic. So you've got your son there, and I saw some live motorcycle racing going on yesterday, and it was fantastic.
Oh, yeah. So they were on their flat track bikes, aren't they, with Hickman and McGuinness and all the guys there. So, yeah, that looks completely crazy because they've got their little jump thing going on as well. So, yeah, it's mental, and it's great the way you can get so close to the action as well, just sort of because it's right in the middle of the hall, and, yeah, it's right there in front of your face, isn't it? So It's hilarious.
No, it was just really, really exciting. And for those who obviously can't go today but listening to the podcast, what other events have you got? Obviously this is an annual thing.
Yeah, so this happens every normal year in February, and then in May we've got our MCN festival, and that's up in Peterborough in East Anglia. So yeah, if you want a bit of outdoor motorcycling show action, that's one for you really, because we've got similar sort of, all the manufacturers will be there, and we've got like an outdoor, I think it's like short track sort of racing, so you'll be able to watch a live action there. And we've got stunt shows and retailers and food and camping, so it's a proper festival atmosphere. So yeah, there's live music there as well, so we've got a good selection of tribute bands, I think they are. So
that one sounds great. So you stay overnight for that one? Yeah,
you just bring your tent and your bike and park up and chill out basically. So yeah, it's like a proper what it says it is. It's a motorcycling festival. It's really good, especially if the weather's kind. But even if it's not, it's still good.
God, that sounds great. Enjoy your day there today. Thank you for coming on the podcast, and we look forward to that one in May. Thank you so much.
Oh, brilliant. No problem. Speak to you soon.
Speak to you soon. Bye.
The MCN Minute on the Rock and Road podcast. Buy the latest issue in store and online at motorcyclenews.com.
So we just heard from Emma at the MCN Motorcycle Show. We were there yesterday. Me and Harley were there yesterday. Harley, what did you think of it?
It was really cool. What I liked about it most was how all of the different all of the different bike companies, they would all have their own different areas, and they would all have like their bikes on display, and you could actually sit on them. And I thought that was a really interesting and good idea.
Yeah, that was good that you can try everything out.
Dexter has something to say about it as well.
Oh, Dexter, where is he? Come on, Dexter. Oh, hi.
Hi, everyone. Did you know, at the first part when you go in, there was this amazing car that was blue, and it looked really amazing and cool.
Yeah, that was at the beginning of the XL, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And then what about when you got inside the actual motorcycle show?
It was really good. There was loads of restaurants. There was Costa as well, outside.
Just you to be all about the food. Can you tell us something about the motorbike? We talked about a car and Costa. What else was there? What about the motorcycle racing?
There was this racetrack where there was these cars, and our team won. And there was
they weren't cars, were they? They were motorbikes.
Yeah, they were motorbikes.
What happened when we went and met Debbie at Ducati?
She gave us lots of free. She gave us like some free merchandise, like a neckband thing, and a cap
and pens. A pen. So basically, Dexter and I just popped in to say hi to Debbie. 5 minutes later, Dexter comes out fully branded, fully from top to toe, weren't you? In fact, he's still wearing some of it now. But yeah, it was a good day out, wasn't it, boys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also want to say that it was really cool what the motorcyclists do when they turn and drift. They literally kneel down on their knee with the bike just resting on top of them to try and drift, which is
when they're going around the corners was incredible, wasn't it?
It was really interesting. And one guy whose bike got kind of taken out by the other because the wheels kind of hit. he went to the side and then he got like a broom and started like trying to like hit them with the broom.
It was entertaining. It did have a comedy factor as well to it.
Yeah.
We also met Stephen, didn't we? A listener to the podcast.
Yeah, Stephen was a really nice guy. Shout out to you. Thank you for all your help, taking us around, showing us the ropes, really. Thank you.
Yeah, he saved us a place for the racing and everything. It was fantastic. And we also met Rich from MCN, the editor.
Yeah.
And he took us around and introduced us to different people as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Rich, as well. Big fan of motorbikes and MCN. Well done, guys.
And there was this man that went around the world in 19 days.
Oh, yeah, on a motorbike. Do you know what? We need to get him on the podcast, don't we?
Yeah, we need to get him on.
All right then, boys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
So that's it from the podcast this week. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, rate and review. Have a look at the photographs and videos on Instagram at Rock and Road Pod, also Facebook, and even now on TikTok as well. Thank you for listening. I'll catch you next time.